It's been such a big story coming out of southern Colorado, now getting renewed national attention, all part of a new documentary. That documentary is digging into the case of the Return to Nature funeral home down in Penrose.
Jon and Carrie Halford are facing state charges for improperly storing nearly 200 bodies at their funeral home. This stemming back to 2019. The documentary features an appearance from KRDO reporter Tyler Cunnington, who is joining us to talk a little bit about this show in this episode. And Tyler, for our viewers here, you remember in the early days when this story broke and this discovery, and it was just devastating.
Yeah, guys, and thank you for having me here. And it was a really honorable and interesting opportunity to be able to be a part of that documentary. It's pretty weird to be even standing right here in this exact spot. We're just a few feet from where the building once stood before it was demolished. This, of course, was barred by a fence for months and months and months at a time. So it's a little interesting to be here now. I was standing in that very spot just beyond in this field on that very first day of the investigation. And as I kind of allude to in that documentary, they use a little soundbite there that, you know, it's a smell that day that I will never forget. It was pungent, you know, I kind of joke, you know, not so much joke, but I don't know what a dead body smells like, but it gave me a pretty good idea of what that might be. We were downwind from the back of the building, which had its windows broken, and it was just, yeah, it was a heavy scene that day. A lot of people around, a lot of investigators, and the smell was unmistakable, and just, you know, truly still trying to grasp the gravity of what was going on inside those walls.
Talk about the documentary. Is there anything really new? Because the story was covered so well and developments were coming out through the trial and the plea and things like that. But what does the documentary develop further?
Yeah, I thought they did a really good job with that episode. A lot of newer details, things that we had heard about and we had seen with our own eyes, but couldn't really independently source. So they included clips there from Jon Halford's TikTok account. He liked to make videos on that account before he took it down. One of them was of him impersonating Lauren Boebert. There was also clips from him doing stand-up comedy, I believe, over in California. He had some ambitious career goals. It appears that they got their hands on some interesting things. He and his wife Carrie doing even a podcast. I think it was His and Hers, obviously a play on their profession that they were in. So there was a lot of interesting things about the couple they were able to kind of dig up and include in there. One of which I think that stood out the most was an interview with a woman who claimed to be a mistress of Jon, Mr. Halford, saying that they had spoken for about a year over text and they had met in person. And what was really interesting was that he had apparently told her about the issues they were having here, about refrigeration and about bodies being stored properly, even sending her pictures of bodies being in the center, in the lobby of this building, which used to be here, showing people on gurneys. Pretty wild and graphic stuff, of course, for someone he didn't know obviously that well, but felt he knew enough to be sending stuff like that. So really interesting things that came from her. Also talk from Jon saying that Carrie was somebody who was trying to skirt corners when it came to money and other things. So that was probably the most interesting added detail that they had to that episode.
Wow. Well, damning evidence, no doubt. Damning evidence. Tyler Cunnington, I said your name wrong, but thank you for joining us. That story is one that I don't think any of us will forget. We know that you being a part of that covering was a big deal, but also when you think of those families, the hundreds of thousands of people impacted by this, so sad. Thank you so much.